Hello, welcome to the most dangerous podcast. How are you, James?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good, yeah, just a bit tired. I've had a busy weekend up to Glasgow and back for the day to see my granny, and it was my youngest son's third birthday yesterday, so a bit tired, yeah, but ready for this anyway.
Happy birthday, Teddy. Glasgow in a day, that's a long journey, that, isn't it?
I know, yeah. I used to do it for the football many years ago, but I was a much younger man then.
Yeah, so we're in the northwest, aren't we? So what's that? 4 hours there, 4 hours back?
Absolutely, yeah. Except with a 3-year-old that's toilet training, it's probably more like 5 hours stopping and letting him pee on the wheel. Do you remember
Yeah.
doing that as a kid?
No. I always, what I do enjoy about going, like Burger King, right?
Yeah.
So I think Burger King is the best kind of fast food. Well, apart from the independent ones, but you get like McDonald's, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I think Burger King is the best out of the lot. And I always used to love going on like journeys. And this is why I like airports as well. Because you don't seem to find Burger Kings anywhere else apart from on like in services or in
Mhm.
airports. Did you stop at a Burger King on the way?
We didn't actually know. So, how's your week been?
Yeah, all right. I've not done much actually. The weather's crap, isn't it? I hate this time of year. I mean, I like it a little bit because I do like the build up to Christmas, and you get a
Hmm.
little bit excited, and you think, oh, it's a lovely time of year. So I prefer this to the sort of January, February time.
Hmm.
But with the nights drawing in, and it's Manchester. I live in Manchester. It's just constantly rains. It's cold. So yeah, just a bit depressing all around, I think.
Yeah, see, I don't mind when it's properly cold and frosty. It's the sort of in between wet weather, windy bit that I don't like.
Yeah, I'd rather that. I'd rather winter or summer.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
in between bit is just nonsense.
the shit bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, this week, we're going to look at food.
Food. All right.
Food, yeah.
Okay. Everyone likes food.
Well, yeah, I suppose it's important, isn't it?
A necessity.
A necessity, yes. We're going to look at the most dangerous food. Now, we're going to call this part one because I think we'll revisit this one.
Yeah, it's a big subject. Yeah,
It's
absolutely. I imagine there's a lot of dangerous food out there.
Oh, there is, there is. What I've looked at really though is food that you can realistically go and sit and buy in a restaurant. Um, I know there's a lot of food that you can find in the Amazon rainforest and stuff like that, but I've really sort of looked at just stuff that you can walk into a restaurant, normal place, and order a plate of it.
Okay, so it's not stuff that you have to go and visit a tribe to eat. It's stuff
No,
that you could actually go and just any layman can just go, right, I'll have this.
absolutely, absolutely.
Excellent. Okay, so what's the weirdest food you've ever eaten?
God, the weirdest food I've ever eaten. Um, See, I'm a really fussy eater, as you know. So not a
I think
lot of
we did come across this in cheese, didn't we?
yeah, not a
When
lot of
yeah, you're a bit you're not adverse to risk, should we say, when it comes to the food department.
no. I'm not a risk taker. Wow, I accidentally ate a spam sandwich once.
Spam's nice. All the rage in Japan.
And I think I mentioned that I ate caviar on flying first class to America.
You flew first class, did you?
Yeah,
I
we
was
did.
just,
We did a floor for a guy that was a pilot for Delta Airlines, and
right.
they upgraded us to first class. And do you know what was funny? It was in December, and I'd turned 18 in September, and we flew first class, and it was all the champagne you could drink free, but they wouldn't serve me because it was an American airline, and you had to be 21.
21. What a
Bastards!
bastard. What a bastard.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Drinking fucking Tropicana.
So spam's the most adventurous thing you've ever eaten, is it?
I actually think possibly, yeah. I think I might have. I don't know. You tell me yours and I'll think about mine.
Okay, so I'll tell you mine. I think this is it. So my dad lived in France for a little while.
Remember, yeah.
He worked over there for a number of years, 10, 15 years, I think.
Mhm.
So I went to visit him one time, and we went to a supermarket, and we bought, just for the crack, really, some horse meat.
Oh, do you know what? I have eaten horse meat.
Oh, have you? All right. I mean, I'm sorry, horse lovers. I do apologise. I mean, it's a thing in France. It's
Mhm.
legal. We didn't just go to like some random people. Yeah, so I have, again, apologise, I have eaten horse meat, and it was quite nice, actually. Quite gamey, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, well, as we've again discussed in the past, I lived in France and I did eat a horse meat burger.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's all right. I mean,
Um,
they're quite intelligent horses, aren't they? It's a bit,
mhm.
I think in retrospect, I'm a bit like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But hey, I think I mentioned actually in a previous episode that if you're a meat eater, you're a meat eater. So you just got to go for it.
Absolutely. I mean, I kept chickens for a little while. Just rescued 3 battery hens, and they had so much personality, and they were quite good fun things to have as pets. So to say that one's stupid and should be killed, and one's intelligent and shouldn't be killed, I don't really believe that. You either kill animals and eat them, or you don't.
Yeah. What happened to those chickens
They all died.
in your belly?
So, do you know, I used to watch them running about the garden whilst I was dicing chicken in the kitchen.
This will be you one day.
But no, they all got bird flu.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So, yeah, they're not that clever.
What do you mean? It's not intelligence, whether you get an illness or not, is it?
I suppose so.
Oh, you're dead thick because you got flu.
This week, I had a little bit of trouble with this because normally the first thing we do is actually look at the history of things.
Yes.
Now, how can you look at the history of food? Because when the very first living being was on Earth, it had to eat something as its food. But what I looked at, when did humans actually start preparing food? So as opposed to catching something and just eating it raw,
Yeah.
when did we actually start cooking what's become nowadays like Gordon Ramsay and all the famous chefs, and actually preparing and cooking food? And it actually goes way back to 780,000 years ago.
Yeah, I imagine it coincides with the not invention, is it? The discovery of fire, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose it's the ability to control fire, would you say?
Yes, yeah, I think that's probably about right. Yeah.
And that's, you're exactly right. It was they actually think it was the first discovery of when I say humans. It was actually Homo erectus that they found an area that they believe was a community of Homo erectus, and they found fish remains alongside the sort of remains of where there'd been fires, and it was actually the fish teeth that they'd found.
Fish don't have teeth.
Hmm?
Do fish have teeth?
Some of them do. Have you ever seen that fish that's got like dead human-like teeth?
Oh yeah, like piranhas. Yeah, and I have. Yeah, and it's got like
it's really weird.
Yeah, no, yeah, say that like yeah.
So,
Fish
but
teeth.
Fish teeth, yeah. But when they tested the teeth, they hadn't been burnt in a fire. They'd actually been slow cooked for a period of time, and that's when they think there's the first evidence of them actually putting a fish over a fire and using the heat to cook the fish, as opposed to burning a fish in a fire.
Okay, how interesting.
Yeah, because it goes way back to 780,000 years ago, which is quite a long time ago. There was a 2010 study led by Natalie Monroe at the University of Connecticut, where she actually describes the earliest evidence of an actual feast. So it was a feast, was obviously a specially prepared meal that brought people together, and this goes back 12,000 years ago.
Wow.
So this is when they think that the humans actually first started eating together as a feast.
A feast? Did you get any information about what they had at this feast?
No. No. Apparently it was found in a cave, and in the cave they found the remains of one special woman who seemed to be some sort of religious leader. The first feast, they believe, came as an important turning point in human history, right as hunter-gatherers were starting to settle into more permanent living situations. Obviously, feasting together was quite a good way for them to start building communities and to reduce tensions, now that people started to live closer to each other.
All right. So they just get people together and say, look, you're from that tribe, you're from that tribe. Let's have some scran.
Absolutely, yes. This Mrs. Monroe, she believes that the ancient feast served a lot of the same social uses that modern gatherings serve, where they exchange information, make connections, and trying to improve their position within the community.
That makes sense. Yeah, yeah. What's the saying? The way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I think that's
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, I can understand that. That sounds pretty cool. I
Yeah,
wouldn't like to be at one of those feasts, though. To be honest, I can't imagine what they were eating.
yeah, yeah.
Just some like awful
Badges and stuff.
badgers, tripe. I think
Yeah.
shit like that.
Another bit of information I was looking again back to meals is the oldest written recipe dates back to 3750 BC, and it's a recipe for mutton stew.
Mutton's
Um,
nice. You had mutton?
Mutton, yeah. No, no,
It's just lamb, I think.
it's just old lamb, sheep, isn't
Old
it?
lamb. Yeah, sheep. Yeah, yeah, it is pretty tasty.
No, I've never eaten it, but yeah. So the earliest recipe was a stew. Now stews are quite, you can imagine. Back in the day, they would just stick everything in a pot and heat it up and serve it. So
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what you do these days, isn't it, for a stew?
yeah. And another thing I found, there's a thing called bog butter. Have you ever heard of bog butter?
Bog or bug?
Bog, like
Bog. What?
old muddy bogs. Bog butter.
I've not heard of it. It doesn't sound too appealing.
Bog butter was something that was something they've discovered, and it was about 5,000 years old, and it was butter hidden in bogs by ancient people, though no one's certain why.
Ooh.
And because Irish bogs, the way they are, the ancient barrels filled with butter could be preserved. So because there's no oxygen to cause them to rot.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of the bog butter that's been found has actually been eaten by people recently that
All
decided to
right.
try it.
They're all dead now.
Well, it just says they described it as tasting somewhat like cheese,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which I
But
can
like
imagine.
that's quite funny, isn't it? So I know the thing about the bog because there's been people who've been found in bogs, haven't there? Like the bog man,
Preserved. Yeah.
preserved in bogs because they've fallen in and then they
Mm-hmm.
don't decompose because of the nutrients in the bog and
Mm-hmm.
all that. But with butter, I mean, does butter go off?
I think it would out in the sunshine and stuff, but
Like, eventually, I mean, I suppose in the
yeah.
sun. Yeah, I guess because there was no refrigeration then. I guess
Mm-hmm.
so you can't just pop it in the fridge.
But my last wee bit about the history of food is the first ever food that was what you would call like processed food. So in other words, not one thing that was chopped up and cooked. Is bread. Was the first thing that they actually mixed different ingredients together and made something out of.
All right. So
Yeah,
bread's considered a processed food.
a processed food. Yeah, because there's a process. See, I think people nowadays always think a processed food is something that's all factory,
Yeah, yeah, like
chemicals
those
and
slices of ham that you get, which are really
yeah,
really nice, by the way.
like
But
yeah,
like the full-on salty, like perfectly square.
yeah, the
You
ham that
get
you give to the kids.
well, yeah, you get it, like you get it in Tesco's for like 20 slices for £1.
Yeah, yeah.
That's like processed food in my mind. But yeah, bread.
I
Wow.
suppose back originally, anything that went through a process to be made, which would be mixing ingredients and letting it rise and putting it in the oven. So bread dates back to about 30,000 years ago, and they reckon that was the first process, the first
Yeah.
food that was mixed ingredients.
Wow,
So
30,000 years. Yeah.
I know, yeah. So that's a wee bit about the history of food. I didn't want to do too much because, like I said, food's food.
Food, glorious food. Yeah.
Yeah, everything that lives eats food. Although I learned about 6 months ago that there's these little flies, and I think there's other insects that are the same, that don't have arseholes because they don't live long enough to need them. Imagine that, you're born, you look down, no arsehole. Oh, fuck, I'm not here long.
Yeah.
Might as well enjoy myself.
Yeah. What's the guy from Mission Impossible? Set the clock.
Yeah. So, James, are there Are there particular foods that you would say are a real favourite of yours? What's your favourite meal? What, you know?
So I know this is a bit of a cliche, I suppose, but my favourite meal of all time, and this is probably a death row thing, spaghetti bolognese.
Spaghetti bolognese. Well, that was actually on my list to ask you. So you're getting the electric chair in the morning, and you've got a starter, main course, dessert. What are you having?
Oh God, right. So main course is spag bol. I just love it. It's so plain, so simple. It's just I can't go wrong with that. Dessert is probably going to be a banoffee pie, I think.
Oh yeah.
Then if you like, with it's got toffee in it, bananas on it, perfect. I don't really do starters. I don't know, pate. I think like liver pate.
Pate,
That's pretty good. Yeah, I think that's me.
Cool. I think if it was me, I like a soup. I do quite like
soup.
One of my favourite soups is leek and potato if it's right.
Heinz tomato soup.
I had that yesterday. Leek and potato soup done right is nice if it's thick and creamy. I think sometimes they do it really watery and it's a bit shit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not really partial to soup.
Yeah.
What do you think about like cheesy soup? Do you like that? Like you do like Stilton and stuff.
Sometimes I put little cubes of cheese in my Heinz tomato soup.
Oh, right. Jazz it up a bit.
Yeah, jazz it up.
Yeah. No, I'm not a big soup fan, really, but each their own.
No, I do like soup. Now, main course. I absolutely love things like a Domino's pizza and stuff like that. But I think if I really think about it, a proper, like a beef stew.
Yeah.
Now,
like a beef stroganoff. If you had that, that's good.
Yeah, something with like wine in it.
Yeah, that's wine. Like red wine. God, I'm getting hungry here.
Mashed potato, bit of pastry or Yorkshire puddings or something on the side,
Well, that kind of making it sound really nice, but we're on death row here.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to have my meal.
Yeah. And then pudding, trifle, bird's trifle.
Oh God, come on!
Proper bird's trifle out of packet.
Seriously?
Yeah, I ate a whole one of them one night.
What happened afterwards?
I was living on my own. I made a bird's trifle and just ate the whole thing.
Were you crying at the time?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just sitting in my underpants eating my bird's trifle. Pants and socks.
Yeah. Come back.
Yeah, no, I wasn't very well after eating that.
No, not surprised. Okay, so we're rambling on a bit here, aren't we? What is the most dangerous food, Fraser? Come on, let's go.
The most dangerous food, in my opinion, from the research I've done, and we've talked about stuff that you can actually legitimately order in a restaurant.
Yeah.
Is a fish called fugu or puffer fish.
Fugu, I've heard of this.
Fugu, yeah. And it's basically it's a puffer fish. We'll go on to it in a minute. But it's got to be very, very specially cut and prepared to be edible. And if it's not done properly, it is, I'm talking, deadly poisonous.
Like toxic. I think there's like toxic glands in there, I think. Are you going to come on to this?
Yeah. It's, a lot of the fish is toxic. There's more toxic fish than there is fish you can eat.
Oh, wow. Right. So it is a very like precision cutting when you're preparing it.
Absolutely, but we'll come to that in a minute. I just wanted to mention a couple of sort of close kind of runners up in my research. So the first dangerous food that I came across that isn't fugu is a thing called the ackee fruit, which is it's actually the national fruit of Jamaica.
Oh yeah, okay, I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's a delicious but dangerous treat. Unripe ackee contains a poison called hypoglycine. So the fruit must be fully ripe and open. It must be fully ripe and allowed to open naturally on the tree before it can be safely eaten. And apparently, it's when it's ripe, the sides of the fruit will split, and that's when it's ready to be picked. But what you can't do is pick it before it splits, and then it splits afterwards. It's got to split on the tree to be ready. Because, it says if you actually open an ackee fruit yourself and it's not ripe, it's poisonous.
Right. Okay.
Basically, when you eat the fruit, you only eat this like the cream-colored fleshy pulp around the seeds. If you eat any of the pink flesh or the black seeds, they're highly toxic. And improper preparation of the ackee fruit can cause serious illness dubbed the Jamaican vomiting sickness, which can lead to
Oh
coma or death.
God! Just don't eat the seeds.
Don't eat it at all.
But yeah. Well,
Like,
if it's nice though. I mean, I'm not a big fruit fan, to be honest. But
there's a
yeah.
lot of nice fruit that doesn't kill you, though. We talked about this with the cheese. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Just have something else. Just have
yeah,
some other fruit.
they've made it their national fruit. I've not been to Jamaica, but I imagine there's quite a lot of fruit there with it being a tropical climate.
Yeah, well, Jamaica's a bit like that, though, isn't it? It's like
Mm,
it's a bit risque, I
I
think.
suppose so, yeah.
Just walk down the street and get shot,
Well,
eat
yeah.
some fruit, and die. you know.
So yeah, that was the ackee fruit, and I thought that's good, but it's not. That's not fugu. We'll talk about fugu. But this one I thought was fantastic. Sanakji. Okay,
So no,
that's what I'm going to call it.
So this is
S A
coming.
double N A K G. Sanakji.
This is coming from like Japan or China, I think, by the sounds of the name.
Kinda Korea.
Korea. Oh, no, not
Yeah.
far off.
So it's like their mate. It's not really, no.
Depends which part.
Yeah. Sanakji is a Korean dish, right? And it's live baby octopus tentacles.
Oh, I have seen this. This is
Yeah.
foul. Like this is
It's
grim.
awful what they do. So they get the baby octopus, they cut the tentacles into pieces, season them, and serve them immediately, right?
Yeah, and they're still wriggling on the plate, aren't they?
Yeah. You got to eat them quickly, right?
Yeah.
But the reason it's dangerous is the suction pads still suction after you
God.
eat. And people, you've got to really, really chew it because when you swallow it, they can suction onto your throat and you can choke to death.
And you choke and just suffocates
Yeah.
you. That's insane. Just
So
don't have that. Like weird, man.
I know, yeah. Like I've watched sort of videos and seen TV shows on like Japanese, Chinese, and Korean foods, and I've seen food where one half's cooked, the other half's trying to run away.
Yeah. Like an octopus that's still alive.
Yeah.
Don't eat that. Just don't. Like
No, I know.
just fucking cook it for starters. It's like,
But what? See that wee baby octopus that's getting chopped into pieces while it's still alive. Is that necessary? Couldn't they just stick the knife through its head quickly so it's dead?
yeah. And another thing as well,
And cut
like
it up and eat it.
octopus are like really intelligent.
Oh
Apparently,
yeah.
like so I've heard. And I don't know. This is a bit contradictory, going back to what I was saying about just being a meat eater and
Yeah.
eating everything. But it's hard to, I don't know, when something is that intelligent
Mhm.
and eating it live, that's just insane, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
if you want to eat it, then cool. But
Mhm.
maybe like kill it. So
Yeah.
it's not going through. It's like when you boil lobsters live. Like fuck that. I just don't.
I know. They were moaning
Weird.
about Saddam Hussein boiling prisoners alive, but it's okay to do it to a lobster.
I don't know. I'm not that much of like a animal rights activist to kind of agree with that point, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah. Here's one. Rhubarb.
Okay.
Now, rhubarb, obviously, the bit that you eat is absolutely fine. The stalk of the leaf.
The big red root.
Yeah. But the leaves themselves actually contain oxalic acid. And consuming too much of that can be fatal. So it's mad that you think that something like, I mean, eating like live octopus, you think, yeah, it's got to be a bit of danger in that. But something that we consume in Britain all the time, and I consider us quite a safe country. We don't really eat lots of weird poisonous things and stuff. But rhubarb, I would never have thought could be dangerous.
Yeah, we don't eat the leaves though, and that's
We don't know.
is it subjective, objective? I don't know. One of them.
Mhm.
So people in like Japan or China and stuff might look at what we eat and go, "Fucking, what the fuck are you eating rhubarb for? That's
I
weird.
suppose so.
It's poisonous." But yeah, I mean, we don't eat the leaves though. You know,
Yeah.
someone at some point has eaten too many rhubarb leaves and gone, just flatlined, and then everyone's gone, yeah, probably don't eat them.
Well, it says they can cause severe pain, cloudy, red, or foul-smelling urine, fever, and chills. So
Maybe I've eaten some of that.
yeah. That just sounds like after a bad night out, doesn't it?
There's a brain fog as well. That's just my life.
And on another note, their food's definitely weirder than ours. And do you know what else came up? Have a wee guess at what came up when I searched for the most dangerous foods?
I reckon somewhere in the world somebody eats jellyfish.
Jellyfish.
Yeah,
But they're just water, aren't they?
yeah, I know, but somebody eats them somewhere. I reckon.
Probably.
So, what did you search?
The most dangerous foods in the world.
Most dangerous foods. No, give up.
Casu marzu.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at it, Casu marzu, I've heard that before.
Some shit podcast ages ago.
Fucking rank cheese. That was episode 2. We were just beginning then. Well, it was a good podcast. Casu marzu. So that actually, that's recognised as one of the most dangerous foods out there.
Wow, but then we sort of established it wasn't that dangerous.
Yeah. So that's some of the kind of runners up to fugu, in my opinion.
Right, let's do it then. Let's
Go for it.
Let's deep dive.
Right, so fugu is the Japanese word for pufferfish, and obviously, like we've said, the dish prepared from it can be lethally poisonous. So this isn't, fugu is not you ill for a couple of days. This is proper lethal.
Yeah. I think there was an episode. I don't want to spoil this. There was an episode of The Simpsons, wasn't there?
Yeah,
where this happened. Are you going to go and say more about this?
I wasn't going to bring up The Simpsons because I feel like I bring up The Simpsons quite often.
Yeah.
Well, I've got nothing to do in my life.
Yeah, just briefly then. There was an episode of The Simpsons where Homer ate some fugu and he was given 24 hours to live, I think.
He was, yeah.
And then he ended up passing out listening to the Bible. And everyone thought he was dead, but he wasn't.
Yeah.
I think that was the first ever Simpsons episode I watched, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
It was. It's in like the first couple of seasons.
Yeah, I remember I went down to see my cousin in South Wales and they had Sky. We're talking late 80s.
Yeah.
And it was on Sky 1.
Channel 6 it was in the old original Sky.
Was it? I can't remember
Sky
that
1
well.
was Channel 6.
Yeah, I can't remember that well. And yeah, I remember just buzzing off it because it was so funny and like it was Simpsons. And I'd known about The Simpsons but never seen it because we didn't have Sky. And
yeah, see, my granny had a hooky NTL box, so she used to tape The Simpsons and then post them down.
Oh, for real? Yeah. That's the thing, yeah.
But yeah, so Homer, he eats fugu and doesn't die. But yeah, the ovaries, intestines, and liver are the most. They've got the most concentrated poison in them. A poison called pterodoxetin. Tetrodox.
You can do it.
Tetrodotoxin.
We're so good at these, aren't we?
Poison. Which is a neurotoxin that's up to 1,200 times more deadly than cyanide.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is proper shit, this.
Proper shit. Well, cyanide's proper shit, isn't it? But yeah.
Well, yeah, 1,200 times more. And it contains it in the skin as well, but obviously the highest concentrations in the liver, ovaries, and intestines.
Yeah.
And basically, the poison, what it does is it's a channel blocker, so it paralyzes all your muscles while you stay fully conscious. But because all your muscles are paralyzed, you can't breathe, and basically you die from asphyxiation.
So your heart stops beating, basically, but you're still conscious while it happens.
That's it. And there's no known antidote for it. So what they actually have to do, if you if you've had the poison and they get a hold of you, they've got to support your respiratory and circulatory systems until the poison wears off. So they've got
God.
to basically pump your heart and breathe for you.
Yeah. So you got to be quick.
Oh, you got to be quick, yeah. You don't need much of it because a lethal dose is smaller than the head of a pin.
Wow.
And a single fish has enough poison to kill 30 people.
Jesus.
Yeah, an angry fish. Now, to actually prepare it, Japanese chefs have got to undergo years of training. It takes 3 years to get your fugu license, which you've actually got to get from the emperor of Japan.
Bloody hell. Fugu license.
Yeah,
Shit.
your fugu license.
This is serious. I mean,
And
is it nice though?
I don't know. You'd have to think it is. It's like we said. We talked about this with the cheese when you said that the cheese tastes like Stilton. We'll just have Stilton.
Yeah. Is there no like Google reviews to say this is the best fish I've ever had? I mean,
don't
I'm not even a big fish fan, to be honest. I remember one time I went on holiday with you. I think it was in France, and I think there was like, I don't know what happened. We were just like at a restaurant, and I said to your dad, like, I was like, oh no, I'll have this. He's like, oh, do you not want the fish? I was like, no, I'm not too keen on fish. He was like, what, you fucking gay or something? So, I mean,
I miss my dad.
I'm not a big fish fan. I mean, I can eat it,
Yeah,
but this like the risk. It's got to be like super fish, surely. Like, it's got to like taste awesome
yeah.
for
I
that risk.
wonder if they do a vegan fugu substitute.
Probably not.
But it's been eaten in Japan for 2,300 years. But there was a period between the 1600s and the 1800s where they actually they made it illegal to prepare and eat. Obviously, lots of people were dying eating it. It seemed pointless.
Yeah. So they put all these provisions in place, and now you need like a license that takes 3 years for you to train to get.
Yeah. And the Emperor of Japan is not actually allowed to eat fugu. There's a centuries-old ban that
Right.
the Emperor is not allowed to eat it.
It's too much of a risk. So that makes me think, if the risk is there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if he's not going to eat it, or he's not allowed to eat it, then I'm going to just say, nah, I'm all right. Like, I'm going to take a pass on this fish, because clearly, even though that there are people well skilled, well trained to do it, there is still that risk there, which means the Emperor can't eat it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, he just it seems pointless, doesn't it?
well, I guess so, but is it nice? Is it nice though? Is it tasty? Like, what? Again, just have some other fish.
That's it.
It's a recurring thing. This
One that's not poisonous.
one that's not poisonous. Have some mackerel. That's dead nice. I like mackerel.
So, right, statistics. You ready? Do you want to hear some figures, facts and
Yep.
figures here? So nowadays, so current sort of years, the Tokyo Bureau of Social Welfare and Public Health indicate 20 to 44 incidents per year, on average. Okay.
20 to 44.
20 to 44, yeah. Very strange.
20 to 40. 20 to 44.
20 to 44. And some affecting multiple diners of fugu poisoning. Now, back in the sort of 50s and 60s, you were talking more like sort of 150 to 200 people were dying each year from fugu. But they reckon that a lot of the deaths were actually people trying to prepare it at home. So the actual deaths in restaurants and stuff were quite a lot lower.
Okay. So it's just people taking the risk.
Yeah, and that's why they sort of brought in a fugu license. I've tried to find out, and it's quite difficult. I don't think you're allowed to just buy fugu in shops anymore. Now, obviously, you can go out and fish for it. You can
That's where
restaurant.
all these deaths are coming from.
That's it.
People just going, oh,
I can do that.
yeah,
Now, like, obviously for a restaurant to buy it, you'd have to have a licensed chef that's done the 3 years training. They even have to have a special knife, a special fugu knife,
yeah, right.
because the traces of the poison could be on the knife if they used it for other food.
Yeah,
So the knife's got to be kept separate. But yeah, so you're looking sort of 50s, 60s, 70s. You're talking 100 to 200 people a year dying from eating fugu.
bloody hell.
But since it's been more regulated, you've still got 20 to 44 people each year.
Yeah, but they're idiots, aren't they?
They are,
Really,
yeah.
they've found one and thought, oh, I'll eat that. I think, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Is there any particular reason that you know of as to why it's so poisonous? Is it just some sort of like defense
It,
mechanism, or
no, it's actually it's what it eats. So its food contains a lot of toxins that
okay,
it's become
right,
immune to, but they've then settled in its body.
right,
It's a little bit like the arrow frog.
yeah,
That I think that eats a lot of insects, which causes its toxicity.
I see, right,
So
okay,
it's what the fugu eats that
creates
gives it its
this
poison.
toxin within its body,
Yeah,
right?
because
Interesting.
it's a terrible defense because you'd have to eat it to die, which is pointless.
Yeah, that makes sense. I suppose you want something that
Yeah,
would deter the
that's it.
what's the word? Deter the
Mhm.
attacky.
Its actual defense is its puffer thing where it puffs up, and people go, "Shit, that's actually a really
Yeah,
big
yeah.
fish. You look small."
Have you seen him? Have you seen I suppose when you were doing your research on this, you must have looked
Yeah, I've seen them.
into.
They're
They are
just like quite
weird things, aren't they?
blobby, ugly kind of fish, but they
Yeah,
can puff up and just looks really weird. But they can
yeah.
be puffed up outside of water as well, which is weird.
But I thought that the puffing thing was water. They just ingest water and it kind of inflates them.
Yeah, I think they can do it with air as well because I saw one
Oh.
getting prepared and it was puffed up and they were kind of waiting for it to die and
It's a bang.
yeah, pop it. So yeah, just a couple of wee cases of people dying from it. One of the most famous victims was the kabuki actor and living national treasure Bando Mitsuguri VIII, who in 1975 died after eating 4 servings of fugu kimo, which is the fugu liver, which we read earlier was one of the most toxic parts of it.
Yeah.
The sale of which was prohibited by local ordinances at the time. Bando claimed to be able to resist the poison, but died several hours after returning to his hotel.
So that sorry. So he
He claimed
just
to
the
be
end bit.
able.
Yeah. So he
Bando,
claimed.
Bando claimed to be able to resist the poison, but died several hours after
Oh,
returning
fuck
to his
him.
hotel.
Serves him right. Good.
I'll be fine, me. I can eat that shit.
Yeah, I just felt the world get a bit lighter. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm immune. Give me more. Dead. Good.
World's another wanker shot. So in August 2007, a doctor in Thailand reported that unscrupulous fish sellers sold puffer meat disguised as salmon, which caused 15 deaths over 3 years.
Oh, that's not good, is it?
And about 115 people were taken to different hospitals. Now, I've seen fugu
I was going to
and I've
say,
seen salmon.
salmon's very distinctive, isn't it?
Yeah, they look very different.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, salmon is very pink.
yeah. Now, I don't eat fish. I don't like fish. And I know that over in Thailand and a lot of that part of the world, that fish is a massive part of their diet.
Yeah.
And if they can't tell the difference between salmon and fugu, then they probably deserve the poison, really.
Yeah, no one really. Yeah, no, apart from that guy, he deserves to die. But I mean, if you're doing it by accident,
Yeah, that's true.
but still,
like
you say, you should be. I don't know. I won't go down that road. I just think. Yeah, anyway.
Yes, we got in February 2009, a Malaysian fisherman died and 4 others were hospitalised after they consumed a meal of pufferfish when they ran out of food whilst at sea. So imagine that you're starving at sea. You throw your fishing rod in. You pull out a fugu, all the fish that you can eat in the sea.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
just
the
unlucky, I
poisonous
think.
one. That's
Yeah,
unlucky. Yeah,
I'd probably do the same thing if I was starving and you just pulled up a fish. You'd be like, yeah, just munch it.
give it a go. Yeah.
I'm not hungry, so can't blame him there.
No, no. In November 2011, a chef at 2 Michelin star restaurant Fugu Fukuji in Tokyo was suspended for serving fugu liver to a customer who, despite being warned of the risks, specifically asked that it be provided. The 35-year-old customer subsequently required hospital treatment for pterodoxin paralysis.
And how many Michelin stars has it got now?
I don't think he's got any more. Yeah.
I can guess.
And yeah, it's there's a lot of the same stories. 5 men poisoned a restaurant after specifically asking for the liver.
Yeah, so just don't eat the fucking liver, like, you know.
That's it. That's it.
Just stay away from that bit. Do you think there's, again, I think we did this on cheese, this kind of prestige thing where it's like, yeah, I'm going to do that because it's so rare, it's so unusual. I want it.
Yeah, it's kind of there's a prestige, and I think there's just an also. I just want to try it because it's dangerous. There's the risk element, isn't there?
Yeah.
It's like jumping out of an airplane and parachuting, base jumping. There's that kind of excitement that it's risky.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's that, and there's, like you said, a prestige. This posh restaurant, this guy's trained for 3 years to cut up this fish for you to eat. Yeah, I think there's a lot of that about it.
Yeah,
I think there's probably more of that than it actually tastes really nice.
I'd be interested. I wouldn't mind trying it, like not the safe bit, just see. But it can't, like all fish, kind of tastes a bit similar.
Tastes like fish.
It tastes fishy,
Yeah.
basically. So I can't imagine that it's got some distinctive, like taste or like personality that other fish doesn't. I imagine it's just a bit salty and a bit meaty, like all fish. So I don't know. Yeah, I think there's something more to it, like why these people would choose to eat the most riskiest thing on the menu.
Absolutely. Now that I mean that's my information about fugu, and when I had a lot of thought about it, and like I said, there's a lot of dangerous foods out there. I think one of the things to me that made it even more dangerous is your life's in someone else's hands. There's a lot of sort of trust that you go to a restaurant and order this, that the guy that cuts it up knows what he's doing. You know, and there's when you're actually eating it, are you 100% sure that the poisonous bit's being cut out?
Well, that's why they've got the certificates, haven't they? I suppose.
Yeah.
Basically a degree's worth. You know, 'cause you go to uni, you do 3 years. It's essentially this. It's a 3-year course, so it's like having a degree in cutting up this fish. Which,
absolutely, but pilots crash planes sometimes, don't they?
Of course, yeah, absolutely. There's always that element of risk there. I mean, how long can it take? 3 years to learn how to cut this fish? Like, surely that's a weekend, isn't it? Like, you know, what do they do? I bet it costs a fortune to do as well. Probably. And it's run by the government. Like, you know, it's just like it's going to cost you £25,000 to do this, and it takes 3 years. You know, I don't know.
But anyway, like you said, you know, you can learn to be a doctor in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
3 years cutting a fish.
Take 3 years to learn how to cut this fish up. There's only so many.
You know, what's a degree in law? 3 years.
A bit more than that. Well, yeah, the actual degree is 3 years.
Yeah,
the actual degree.
So that's fugu. I've got a couple of wee stories that I looked up. I always like to see a couple of funny deaths. A couple of other food-related deaths. We got here Sir Francis Bacon, who was the former British Lord Chancellor.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, he died in 1626 of pneumonia, which he contracted while stuffing a chicken with snow to test a theory about its preservative properties.
All right. Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? Because, like, what?
That's all. That's all I've got.
So we got
That was
what? Did he
funny.
get cold? Get in the snow, or
Yeah, he must have.
what's that got to do with fish? Hang on.
It's just a food related death. The guy
All
was
right.
like
So,
stuffing his chicken with snow and
yeah,
died.
what? That's got nothing to do with anything.
Here we go. Right. Francois Vatel in 1671, after a shortage of roasted meat and a fog that prevented a firework display to honour King Louis XIV of France, the maitre of the hotel supposedly committed suicide upon learning that he did not have enough fish to feed his guests.
This is going to get cut. What? So somebody killed themselves because there wasn't enough fish.
He didn't have enough fish to feed his guests, so he killed himself.
Where have you got this stuff from?
Right, we'll try again. King Adolf Frederick of Sweden. You've heard the expression too much of a good thing. Well, King Adolf Frederick is supposedly remembered by Swedish schoolchildren as the king who ate himself to death. He died in 1771 after consuming a meal consisting of lobster, caviar, sauerkraut, kippers, and champagne, which was topped off with 14 servings of his favourite dessert.
Banoffee pie.
No, semla. Semla served in a bowl of hot milk.
What? Semolina.
Just semla.
Semla.
Semla, yeah. Like
Hang on.
14 servings.
What is it though?
I don't know.
Could be anything.
I mean, it's still a bowl of hot milk. That's 14 bowls of hot milk.
Well, yeah, but we need a bit more context here. Like what?
Be a little bowl.
It could be a little bowl. It could be anything. What is it?
I threw this bit together this afternoon.
No shit.
Here we go. Basil Brown, the health advocate, died in 1974. This is a health advocate.
Okay, right.
Telling you how to be healthy. He died after drinking 10 gallons of carrot juice during a period of 10 days.
I bet he went orange. Do you remember when those kids were drinking all that sunny day? And they went orange.
I remember actually. Yeah,
that's definitely what happened to him. Yeah.
Well, apparently it was 10,000 times the recommended daily allowance of vitamin A.
Yeah. And he died from that.
He died, yeah. And last but not least, Bernard Lassalle, a chef who tragically took his own life in 2003, not long after supposedly confiding to a friend that he would do just that if he lost a Michelin star, which he did.
That's a shame.
So he lost a Michelin star and killed himself.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's sad. If anyone's having mental health issues, then there are people that you can speak to. Just throw that out there.
Definitely. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Speak to someone.
Absolutely.
If nothing else, things change. So that's my food. That was about fugu. What do you think?
Fugu. Yeah, it's interesting. I think we mentioned at the start that this will be perhaps a part one because I think there's other areas to explore in this.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's very interesting. I would like to try it one day. I think if it was kind of like safe. I don't know, because you can't really say, "Oh, yeah, I'll try it if it's safe," because it's not.
Well, yeah,
because it's really dangerous. But it sounds like the liver bit is the worst bit. Just don't eat that bit.
Yeah.
Maybe have like a bit off the side or something.
If you 100% knew it was safe, would it take away the adventure of eating it?
Yeah, it would, absolutely.
Would it just make it a normal fish?
Yeah. Did you see how much it costs? Did you have a look at the price?
I did, but it costs $29 per pound. But that meant nothing to me, to be honest.
No.
I don't think the fish itself is particularly expensive, but I think to have it cut and prepared in a restaurant is.
Yeah. Well, it's the skill involved. Like we've touched on this before, haven't we? It's the skill involved to prepare it, and that's where the money goes because
that's it.
The chefs are well paid. That the chefs that prepare this will be pretty well paid to go through that journey of training to be able to prepare this. Then they don't do it for free, do they? There's going to be some sort of remuneration.
Absolutely
at the end.
So yeah, so like a prepared meal of fugu is round about the sort of £100 a plate mark.
Right. Okay.
So the fish itself's not particularly expensive, but prepared and on your plate it is. Or you can
Yeah.
cut it up yourself and take the risk.
So if there's anybody out there who
Mm.
wants to donate me, who wants to pay for me to eat a plate of this fish, email in. What's the email again?
JamesandFraserPod@gmail.com.
All right. Okay. I'm willing to take that risk. I think I'd like to
Mm-hmm.
give it a try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cut that out. That's absolutely fantastic. That's fascinating. Very interesting. Thank you very much.
No problem. It was quite interesting researching it this afternoon. Yeah, I wanted to do food because you mentioned the Simpsons episode, and I always remember that, well, Homer with the fugu.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of thought we will do more on food.
I think
Um,
so. It's one of those subjects where we can't just contain it into one
yeah,
single thing. So I think we will pick up
uh,
and maybe do a part 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe. But
absolutely.
as a starter, I think this is really
Mhm,
interesting. And I think particularly with the what I found most interesting is the actual skill involved and having to
mhm.
go on this course and have a certificate to actually prepare
Oh yeah, yeah,
this type of fish.
yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing that I liked about it is this is something that you can go and sit down in a restaurant and order, and it's deadly poisonous if it's done wrong.
Yeah, it's just
Like we
that
said, this isn't going into the Amazon rainforest and chewing on roots and eating weird things. This is like something that people go every day and go and sit in a restaurant and have some fugu, please,
and have them and that. Yeah,
and take that chance.
very strange. I mean, as I
Yeah,
said, I would like to try it. I'm quite interested.
and
But yeah, excellent. Thank you very much, Fraser, for your time and your effort.
oh, it's been a pleasure.
And well, leave it there, shall we?
Yeah, yeah. Well, thanks for listening. And remember, we said this last week. Please, 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 if you enjoy our podcasts, please subscribe, share, tell your friends, spread the word.
Yeah, and give us likes or something. I think that helps, does it?
Likes, yeah, I think
Likes
likes.
and reviews, stuff
Yeah,
like that. I don't know. I'm not tech savvy. You just
we
click the
we're old
button and
men. You kids sort it out.
yeah,
Yeah,
5 stars. That's all you need to know. And then up thumb.
yeah,
That works.
yeah. The thumb pointing upwards. Click
Not
that one.
not the downwards one, the upwards one.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, it's been a pleasure, James. I'll speak to you soon.
I'll see you next week. All right.
That's been the most dangerous podcast, and it was Food Part 1. Bye bye.